Hi friends, and thanks so much for being here. I'm Anna Helman, and when I named my blog and my YouTube channel Scrapping, Stamping, and Stuff, I was like a hardcore scrapbooker. Somewhere along the way, I lost my way. I fell in love with cards, and I spend most of my time making cards these days, but I get requests for scrapbook pages, and it's been a while since I've shared any. So I want to share 3 different scrapbook layouts today with you. Technically, I'm actually using one layout that I'm using basically for all 3, but I'm making pages for 3 different occasions. Now, if you're a card maker, don't turn it off. You can definitely use these ideas for cards as well. Just scale them down a little bit, maybe stamp once instead of 4 or 5 times. But I think you can use these ideas as well. So let's get started. Here you can see the basic pieces and parts for the 3 scrapbook pages I am going to make. So I'll share the dimensions with you, and then we are going to start creating. Now, all 3 of these are going to be seasonal, so we're going to walk through fall with 3 different ideas for fall scrapbook pages. So I have my 12 by 12 cardstock in the background. I have a piece of 10 by 10 designer paper on each of these layouts. Now the designer paper I use for all 3 actually came from the same paper pack. I love it because it has so many different occasions and styles and patterns. It's called Celebrate Everything, and I will try to mention more about it here in a few minutes. Then I have a border strip on 2 of my pages. This measures 3 1/4 by 12. The 3rd page, it's a little bit narrower, you'll see. And then 2 photo mats that measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I like to cut my photo mats this size for a couple of reasons. I can actually cut 4 of these out of 1 piece of 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock, which is really nice. And they're the perfect size for 4 by 6 photos if you just trim off the end a little bit. And in almost all photos, it is easy to trim off a little bit. So those are my basic pieces for all of my pages. Let's start, and we are going to do a little bit of stamping here. I've heard several times that you really like to see ways to stamp on scrapbook pages. So hopefully this will give you some ideas. Now, what I'm doing for this one, this is going to be my general fall scrapbook page, kind of all occasion for fall. I'm using the Soft Seedlings stamp set. I have completely fallen in love with this stamp right here, and we're going to use it several times, as well as the little maple seed stamp. But I'll mention, if you like this stamp, if you would like to see some ways to use this particular stamp using different techniques on lots of different cards, I created a video with, I think, 20 different ways to use it, like 20 different techniques. Had a ton of fun with it. So if you are interested in seeing more ideas of ways to use the stamp, you can take a look at that. I will link to it in the video description below. But what I'm doing, I'm just stamping this leaf several times across this border strip. I love that the way this leaf is designed, it makes it look so realistic and so natural with the different degrees of color is what is coming to my mind. I'm not sure if that is the right way of saying it, but the darker areas and the lighter areas. And call me particular. When I fill in a strip like this and then I have some spots on the edges with nothing, I just like to fill those spots in. So here is this strip full of these beautiful leaves. That will be my border strip. Let me bring my background back in and we'll set this border off to the side for a second. I'm planning on putting my photo mats on this particular page somewhere about right in here. So I am going ahead, I'm going to stamp my title for my page. The stamps I'm using for all of these is the Alphabet stamp set. I really like this one for personalizing cards and for scrapbook pages especially, because I can create my own titles. So I have the different letter stamps, of course, and then you'll see on one of mine here in a couple of minutes, it coordinates with this cute little tag punch, so I can punch these out and pop them up if I want to. For this one, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Ink these up, but I wanted my greeting right here kind of in the corner near my one photo mat. So I wanted to set those on there before I did that stamping. Now that I have that, I want to do a little bit more stamping. I'm going to bring in crushed curry, the color of my background, and I want to stamp some of these maple seeds across the top and across the side. I'll bring my scrap paper back in because a lot of times I like to stamp off the edge, so we'll stamp a few of these. And we're gonna go for a rustic look. I messed up my first one. I didn't get it stamped quite all the way, so you know what? I think that's a really good reason to not stamp the rest of them on purpose. We improvise, right? And actually, so I'll stamp. If I push harder, I am gonna get better coverage here, but I kind of like the rustic look anyway, which, do your mistakes ever turn into happy accidents? There are no mistakes. I think they're all happy accidents. Okay, so now we have some nice little maple seeds in the background. And I believe we are ready to attach everything together. So you're going to see this is a very simple page. I'll go ahead and attach my photo mats on first, and then I'll put the border on. And this one will be complete. So this is very simple. My other two get a little bit more detailed, but all of these are going to be fairly simple pages that you can create in just a few minutes. We'll bump this one down a little bit, offset it some, and then I can tell for some reason my ink on this border strip is still wet, so I am going to put my adhesive directly onto my page. And be careful attaching it down so that I hopefully don't smear it. And I apologize that you cannot see the full page. If you want to see photos of these complete, still ones that you can look at and recreate, I'll put the link in the video description below to go to my website. You'll see these photos as well. So here is my very simple first fall scrapbook page. Next, I'll bring in the pieces and parts for another one. I absolutely love this. This is so cute, I think. So this one is going to have a harvest theme, and I kind of struggled whether to go with a wheat theme for harvest or the apples, and I decided to give the apples front and center, but I did use my wheat stamp in the background. Hopefully you can see that. So let me explain what I've done so far, and then we will go ahead and finish this. I already attached that designer paper in the background. Here you can see one of the other prints from that Celebrate Everything pack I mentioned. Added my crushed curry photo mats on top. And before I did that, of course, I stamped this wheat stamp all around the background. And it came from the Gathered Wheat stamp set, which I will show you here. Okay, so I decided not to give the wheat front and center, but what I did was create these apples. And believe it or not, this is not from an apple stamp set. This is from this Sweetest Cherry stamp set, which can be used to create apples. Basically, you just change where you put the little leaf, shorten the stem, and it turns into an apple. So let's finish our apple border here, and then we will take a look at assembling everything together. Bring in my ink colors. I use Poppy Parade, Soft Suede, and Granny Apple Green on this card. And I got a little excited with my stamping, and I forgot to leave a cherry to stamp and show you. So I just stamped the cherries all along the bottom. I kind of changed up which way they were turned to give it a little bit of interest instead of keeping them all turned exactly the same way. Now with the leaves, again, you can see that I changed where the leaves are attached as well and sort of which way they angle to add a little bit of interest to them as well. And then with the stem, so you can see my stem stamp is really long. It looks like a cherry stem, right? But to stamp it for these apples, it's really simple to do this. I just inked a very small portion of it, and I just need to look at that and see wherever the bottom of that is, that's how far it's going to stamp. Now in between stamping these, I do like to clean off my stamp in case I don't ink it the same distance each time. I don't end up with any random little bits of extra ink from the previous time I stamped. So, okay, so there is this cute little apple border. I love when I can use products in multiple ways, and I really like that I can use this for the cherries or the apples. So let's get I'm debating, am I done with my inks? I think I'm done with my inks. I'll move them out of the way and bring my background back in here. And let's see how this page comes together. So we'll put this piece across down here at the bottom, and then I have this one. So this coordinates with the punch I showed. So if you stamp these pieces and then punch them out, you can create adorable little pieces like this. So you could create really detailed pages like this if you want to. Again, I was trying to keep them fairly simple, but I will use that little one to decorate a little bit. So down here at the bottom, I'll put my border across. You may have noticed, likely, that for this one, I stamped my letters and I used this stamp right here. I actually like to stamp that one first, and then I put the letters in the center. And then after they were stamped, I punched them out with this little, it's called the Best Label Punch, but I really, really like it for these page titles. So what I'm going to do here is first make sure I can spell properly today. Harvest. Oh, I'm not doing very well. Harvest. Okay, so I'm going to start down here towards the bottom, and these are going to go different ways, so I don't have to worry about lining them up any particular way. Spelling backwards is risky, especially on camera, I'm going to say. So you may want to start out at the beginning of the alphabet and lay these, or at the beginning of the alphabet, the beginning of your word, lay them on where they go. But I guess I'm living life on the edge today. I believe I spelled that properly. So there we have our title, Harvest. And I have this one little apple left that I can decorate anywhere I want. And I think I'm going to put it right up here at this corner. So think how cute, if you like to do detailed pages, think how cute this would be with, you know, a few of these or a whole bunch of those apples all punched out. So there is page number 2 with the apples. Now let's look at the third one, and the third one is Halloween themed. This is the cutest Halloween set that I wanted to show on this page. So here you can see the background. Again, this paper came from that same paper pack. Love these pumpkins and the black and white with the little bits of yellow added in. I think that's really cute. Added my photo mats this time. Turn this one sideways just for a little bit of something different. And you will notice I have witch hats. These are going to get even cuter here over the next couple of minutes. Here is my border strip. I stamped some of I'll show you this. So here's the stamp set I used. Has a coordinating witch hat builder punch. I used the little star stamp to stamp some stars across that border strip. So we will attach that on. We're not attaching that on yet. I have to remember, I need to do a little bit of stamping first. And here is what we're going to do. I think you might love this. I actually have 5 hats. So let me bring in the 5th one. Show you how. I like to do my stamping first and then punch out second. If you are new to this hobby, that is a tip that makes life a lot easier. Punching first and stamping second is much more difficult. So I like to stamp first, punch second. I am going to put these in this order, and this is important because I need to stamp something else right now. I need to stamp the little witch legs and boots here. So I have my colors, and I was planning on using the same colors as the hats, but I am using my creative liberty right now. We're going to do this a little bit different. We're going to mix up the colors, okay? So we'll do orange there. We will do green right here with this orange one. Let's do a purple next. I first thought that I would do all of my stamping right on that border strip, and then I thought, you know what? I have this punch. It's going to look so much cuter if I stamp and punch out those hats. So I decided to do that. I have the hats on here so that I can see my spacing. As you can tell, I didn't measure these out or anything. I do a lot of eyeballing in my crafting, a lot. I don't really go for perfection a whole lot. I go for cute and good enough. So I just laid those hats out so I could see approximately where I need to put the legs, okay? So now that I have that stamping done, now I can start attaching this together. So I do want to keep my hats, I think, in this order. I like the order I have them in, so I'll set them up here so they don't get out of order. Flip this over, get some adhesive on the back. I really like my Stampin' Seal Adhesive Seal Plus. My Seal Plus. Now for scrapbook pages, you really want to make sure you get everything adhered in place, don't you? You are spending a lot of time and effort and money and all of the things on these amazing creations. And you want to make sure they don't fall apart, right? I did a scrapbook, I think when I was in elementary school, of certificates and just stuff like that. It wasn't pictures really, but you know, I did that work and then it fell apart because I used bad adhesive. You don't want to have that experience. So that Seal Plus is so strong, and you only have to use a little bit in the corners. It is really great. So if you're looking for a new adhesive, you may want to try it out. I'll have links for all of these products in the video description below. So we'll get our hats on. As you can see, I'm turning them a little bit different ways. And our last one. And then I will just have that greeting to attach. So I wanted to see how this looked when I got done. I was debating if I want to put it down here, if I want to put it down here. Ooh, I like it everywhere. I like it everywhere. I think I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so I want the happy on top of the Halloween. I'll attach the Halloween first. I have some of my dimensionals on here. And we'll put happy over top, just over that little corner. And here you can see my completed Halloween scrapbook page. So thanks so much for watching along. If you want more scrapbooking ideas, comment and let me know. I am happy to share more and yeah, give you some ideas you can use with your own photos. Thanks so much for watching along. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you'll be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.